Hi everyone, welcome to another Yukon Bob video. Not out on the water today, but a little bit of maintenance going on today. It's time for an oil change on the Seadoo GTX Limited 2018 model. You're supposed to do this about every 50 hours. I'm a little shy of that for my 50-hour mark. This is the third time I've done an oil change on it. It will be the third time. I've done it twice before, and I've used different methods in the past. The trick with the Seadoo is you've got to pump the oil out of the crankcase. It's not a matter of just draining the oil out. You have to pump it out with a suction system. I've tried a couple of things in the past and found it kind of difficult and haven't found things that have worked very well. The first thing that I used was a pump method, and that's this here. You just put the tubes in, one end goes down the dipstick and then the other end into a container, and you pump it. But the suction was really difficult, and I found this not very good. I didn't like the system at all. So then what I did is I went to another system, which is something that you use off of a drill. You hook your drill onto it, onto the bit there, in, out, the tubing you set up, and I used this, and it sort of seized up after a while. Didn't like this either. Then on YouTube, I saw a video of a guy using a system that he had bought off of Amazon, and this is what we're going to try today. This end goes down the dipstick, this is your exit line, and then you just simply hook this up to your battery. It's an electric motor, creates a suction, a couple of clamps on each side, I guess, to prevent air from getting in the lines. So we're going to try this method today and see how it works. But first what we have to do is we have to get the top plate off the Seadoo, get all of that off so we can have access to the engine to get down to the oil filter and to have better access. So let's do that now. All right, the first thing we got to do is we have to remove this whole top platform. It comes off, and I have a little bit of additional work because I have this extra platform that I bought earlier this year that mounts on here to allow me to carry more link accessories on the Seadoo. So I'll have to take this off as well. It's got some spacers in there. That's going to take a few minutes to pull all of that off. I'm using the Torx T25. That's the bit that you need, and a drill is handy here because there's a lot of screws to take out. So let's start by taking those out. Okay, one thing of note here is you do have to be careful when you remove these front two screws, because there is a nut underneath and a washer, so you'll have to get your hand down underneath and hang on to it. You don't want to drop that washer down into the engine bay. That'll be very difficult to recover. So just for these two, the rest are all just screwed into existing sort of holders in there, so you don't have to worry about that. I don't know what the exact terminology is, but these two have a bolt, a nut underneath, and you have to catch that and not let it drop down. Okay, I'll pull all those out. Keep them all in a cup so we don't lose them. I think these are all the same size. These are the bolts that hold this platform on. So now the platform should just lift right up, and it does. We'll take the top deck right off. We'll set that down there. These two things are just the inserts for the link system. They pop in. I'll put those there. Just do a little visual inspection while we're here. Everything looks pretty good down there, nice and dry, nothing too wet. There's your supercharger. I'm not going to change the plugs. I did the plugs about 50 hours ago, so the plugs don't need changing. We'll do that next year. So, okay, now that we've done that, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to hook up the Seadoo to some water. And we're going to want to run it for about 5-7 minutes, something like that, just to warm it up so that the oil warms up a little bit. And with the oil warmed up, it's going to be a lot easier to pump that oil out. Okay, I've just got one of these little adapters. We just screw that right into there. And then we can just hook the hose on like that. Now the trick is, they tell you that you should have the Seadoo running first, then turn the water on. So the Seadoo gets started first, then the water gets turned on. And the water is coming out the back end. Whoa! There we go. Okay, we'll just let that run for about 4 or 5 minutes and heat up the oil. Okay, so it's been running for about 5 minutes now. I'm going to shut it off, but the same procedure. First of all, you turn off the water, then you turn off the Seadoo. Okay, so the Seadoo is off, the water's off. The water went off first, then the Seadoo went off second. Okay, so we want to insert this tube down till we can sort of feel it hit the bottom, and that actually is a little trickier to do. It doesn't really feel like it's hitting the bottom, so just play around with it up and down a little bit and see what happens. I'm going to use a container like this, just a clear container to pump the oil into, so I can see how much oil is actually going in there, and then that'll give me a reference as to how much oil I need to put back in. So put the tube in there, like that, and let's turn the pump on. There comes the oil. I think I'll put this down lower. Hey, that's working really well. That pump system works a lot better. I like this setup. This works well. Pumping the oil out. I can feel that the oil is still warm too a little bit, so that's helped a bit. Just keep moving this around, get all the oil out. And it's fairly black, so I'm glad I did the oil change. Doesn't take that long. Just keep pumping the oil out. Gee, I hope that container holds it all. Should. Geez, I didn't think it was going to take that much oil. Okay, I'm going to have to empty that into something else. So, we took that much oil, that container there, which is 1.54 liters, and just about all of that. So that's how much oil that we sucked out. We'll make a measurement of the oil that we took out, and we'll replace the same amount back in, and then we'll check the level and go from there. But first what we have to do is we've got to change the oil filter. And the filter is right there. We're going to have to use a Torx bolt on that. It's the outer, not the inner type. I don't know, there's a name for that. I don't know what it is, but it's a different type of Torx bolt that you have to go on the outside of it. I think it's, what size is it? I've got it here. E10. It'll go right on like that. And we'll have to pull that off and pull the filter out. And be careful not to drip oil everywhere as we do that. So everybody has to have a supervisor on their job. This is my supervisor. This is my neighbor. His name is Nathan. Come over here, Nathan.
Hi.
He lives right next door. Nathan's gonna help me for the rest of the job. How are you, Nathan?
Good.
Good. So we're taking the oil out of the Seadoo. Have a look. This is all, see down here? Down below, that's all the old oil that we took out of the Seadoo. And we have some more up top in that other bottle over there. And now we're going to put new oil in the Seadoo once we put the filter in.
Okay.
That seems a little tight, but it is coming. Pry it up a little bit on the corners. There we go. Okay. And then just quickly bring that out. There we go. That's the oil filter out. So I don't know if you can see down in there in the oil filter container, the chamber. There's still some loose oil down in there, so I'm going to turn the pump back on and see if I can't just suck that out. Just move it around. The more you can get out, the better, obviously. So I'm just going to suck the oil out here using my hose and keep sucking out as much as I can. Okay, that's pretty good. I'll turn it off. And I did get a little bit more out, so that's good. All right, so we've got our new O-rings put back on. We have the bigger one and the smaller one. And now we're going to reinstall the oil filter back into its chamber. Just set it in there. Give it a little push down. I should put a little bit of oil maybe on those rings to help them go in a little bit easier. That's what I'll do. I'll just put a little oil on the rings. Just dip my finger in there and put a little oil around here. And I'll put some oil around here.
Is this where you put your phone?
Yeah, that's it. So Nathan, you're watching me here now. Are we doing this right? Put this in here. Like that. And we will start to tighten that a little bit by hand. Just tighten that up by hand to start with. And then we'll get our wrench and tighten it a bit. It's sucking down. Okay, you can feel it tighten up. Just give it a little turn. There we go. Okay, that is now in. All right, so we've got our O-rings in. The filter's now in. Time to fill it back up with oil. And as I said before, what we're going to do is we're going to take the volume of oil that we took out, and we're going to use that as our guide. We'll take a look at how much oil we took out, and we'll put the same amount back in, and then we'll check it. Here's our filler cap. We'll open that up. You know, one thing I could have done, actually, I should have mentioned this earlier, is you could take the filler cap and open that up before you start to suck the oil out, because it helps with airflow a little bit, and maybe you can suck a little bit more oil out. But I don't know, I think I got most of it out. So here's the oil in the kit. We'll start adding some and see where we get to. So that's it. What do you think, Nathan? Have we done a good job?
Yep.
We've done a good job. My supervisor says we're good to go. The oil's back in. All we have to do now is put all of these parts back together. We won't bother showing that in the video because it's just the reverse procedure of what we did before. We have new oil in there, new oil filter in there. What do you say, buddy? High five?
Yeah.
High five. The supervisor says we're okay. So that's how you do an oil change on the Seadoo GTX 300 Limited. It's the same on many models. Just takes a little time and effort. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for watching another Yukon Bob video. Nathan and I, my next door neighbor, say goodbye. We'll see you next time.